Essential truth number one: AI is a tool designed by humans, not an independent intelligence. Demystifying AI. Understanding its human-centric design. AI's human-driven creation. When IBM's Deep Blue defeated world chess champion Garry Kasparov in 1997, newspapers proclaimed a new era of machine superiority. What they rarely mentioned was the team of programmers who spent months teaching Deep Blue to recognize patterns, the engineers who refined its evaluation functions after every practice game, and the human strategists who determined which chess principles the system should prioritize. Deep Blue didn't wake up one morning wanting to play chess. People built it, trained it, and pointed it toward a specific goal. Every AI system in use today follows this fundamental principle. Behind each algorithm, developers make deliberate choices about what the system should accomplish and how it should get there. When your smartphone suggests a word while texting, software engineers decided which language patterns to analyze and how heavily to weight your personal typing history versus common usage. When a streaming service recommends a movie, programmers determined which viewing behaviors matter most. The creativity, the objectives, the priorities, all human. The process resembles teaching more than creating. Developers feed AI systems examples, correct their mistakes, and refine their responses until they perform reliably within defined boundaries. A medical imaging AI doesn't spontaneously decide to look for tumors. Instead, radiologists and programmers collaborate, showing it tens of thousands of scans from real-world cases, such as those used in Google Health's breast cancer detection AI, McKinney et al. 2020, marking which abnormalities deserve attention. The AI learns what humans teach it to value. This human involvement doesn't end at deployment. When an AI system produces unexpected results, engineers investigate, adjust parameters, and retrain models. The notion of AI as a self-governing entity dissolves under scrutiny. What remains is a sophisticated tool, shaped by human hands and guided by human purpose. Purposeful design and application. AI serves specific purposes that humans define. A recommendation algorithm on a shopping website exists because someone decided consumers would benefit from suggestions based on past purchases. A voice assistant responds to questions because engineers programmed it to recognize speech patterns and retrieve relevant information. These systems don't pursue their own interests. They execute the tasks we assign them. The distinction matters. Tools solve problems. They extend human capability without replacing human judgment. A GPS device calculates routes, but you decide whether to take the fastest path or the scenic one. Similarly, AI systems process information and offer outputs, but people determine how to use those outputs. Consider spam filters in email. Programmers train these systems by showing them thousands of legitimate messages alongside thousands of junk emails. The AI learned to recognize patterns, certain phrases, suspicious sender addresses, unusual formatting. Now it sorts your inbox, flagging potential spam for review. You still control whether to delete, read, or reclassify those messages. The filter assists. You decide. Medical diagnostics illustrate the same principle on a more complex scale. Developers at institutions like Stanford Medicine have created AI systems that analyze chest X-rays for pneumonia with accuracy comparable to experienced radiologists. These tools don't replace doctors. They flag potential concerns, allowing physicians to focus attention where it's most needed. The radiologist reviews the AI's findings, considers the patient's history, examines the images personally, and makes the final determination. Human expertise remains central. Rajpurkar et al., 2017. AI amplifies what we can do. It doesn't operate independently from our intentions. When fraud detection software identifies suspicious credit card transactions, it's executing rules that banking security teams established. When a language translation app converts Spanish to English, it's applying patterns that linguists and engineers embedded through training. The core lesson: AI has no agenda beyond what humans program into it. Limitations of AI autonomy. Understanding these limitations matters because fear often grows from misunderstanding scope. When people imagine AI as all-knowing or infinitely capable, anxiety follows naturally. But AI systems operate within narrow boundaries that humans establish and maintain. Consider what AI cannot do without us. It cannot set its own objectives. It cannot decide which problems deserve solving. It cannot interpret whether its output serves ethical purposes or harmful ones. An image recognition system trained to identify birds will never spontaneously decide to analyze medical scans instead. It lacks the autonomy to redirect its function. AI depends entirely on the data we provide. If that data contains gaps, the system's understanding contains gaps. If the training examples reflect certain biases, the AI will reproduce those biases. Researchers found that facial recognition systems perform significantly worse on darker-skinned individuals because the training datasets included fewer images of people with darker skin tones. Buolamwini and Gebru, 2018. The technology didn't self-correct. Human intervention, better data, revised algorithms, conscious oversight was required to address the problem. This dependency extends to interpretation. AI can identify correlations in data, but cannot explain causation without human guidance. A system might notice that ice cream sales and drowning incidents both increase in summer, but it won't understand that warm weather drives both trends independently. We provide context. We supply meaning. AI's power is bounded by human input, human monitoring, and human decision-making. Systems can process information faster than any person, but they cannot function wisely without our direction. Recognizing these constraints doesn't diminish AI's usefulness. It clarifies where responsibility actually lies. The myth of autonomous intelligence. Setting the record straight. Origins of the autonomy myth. Popular culture bears much of the responsibility for our fears about autonomous machines. Films like 2001, A Space Odyssey introduced HAL 9000, a computer that defied human commands and killed crew members to protect its mission. The Terminator franchise popularized Skynet, an AI system that decided humanity posed a threat and launched nuclear war. These narratives follow a consistent pattern. Machines wake up, assess their situation, and choose actions against human interests. Audiences absorbed these stories for decades, and the association between artificial intelligence and independent will become deeply embedded in our collective imagination. The timing of these cultural messages matters enormously. Most mainstream AI depictions emerged before anyone encountered actual AI systems in daily life. 2001. A Space Odyssey premiered in 1968 when computers filled entire rooms and performed basic calculations. The editors of Encyclopedia Britannica, 2024. War games terrified audiences in 1983 with a military supercomputer, nearly starting World War III through its own initiative. By the time conversational AI assistants and recommendation algorithms became commonplace in the 2000s, two generations had grown up watching fictional AI make autonomous decisions. These stories arrived first, planting expectations that real AI would struggle to overturn. Science fiction serves valuable purposes. It explores ethical questions and imagines consequences before technology arrives. But entertainment requires dramatic stakes. A film about AI correctly sorting emails or improving traffic light timing wouldn't attract audiences. Writers need conflict, and machines turning against creators provide immediate tension. The gap between fictional AI and actual AI has never been adequately explained to general audiences. We inherited vivid stories of machine rebellion, without comparable narratives, showing AI's genuine, limited nature. News coverage compounds the problem through language that implies independent thought. Headlines about AI learning to perform tasks or deciding on classifications suggest conscious choice. When AlphaGo defeated World Go champion Lee Sedol in 2016, articles described moves the AI invented and strategies it chose. Technically accurate within narrow contexts, this language misleads readers, unfamiliar with how these systems actually function. The program explored millions of possible moves based on training data and optimization algorithms, all designed by deep mind engineers. It didn't invent anything in the human sense. It calculated probabilities at extraordinary speed. The Associated Press, 2016. Business marketing further blurs reality by emphasizing capabilities while downplaying limitations. Intelligent assistants, smart thermostats, and cognitive analytics platforms suggest these tools think independently. Most people lack technical background to recognize the metaphorical nature of such terms. They hear machine learning and envision something closer to human learning than statistical pattern matching. We're not gullible for believing these misconceptions. Human psychology naturally attributes intention to anything exhibiting complex behavior, a tendency called anthropomorphization that once helped us survive by assuming rustling bushes might contain predators. That same instinct now leads us to believe AI systems possess desires and goals when they're simply executing programmed instructions with impressive sophistication. The reality of AI capabilities. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the National Health Service in the United Kingdom deployed an AI tool called Caah to analyze chest x-rays for signs of pneumonia in emergency departments experiencing overwhelming patient volumes. The system flagged abnormalities with remarkable speed, processing scans in seconds that would have taken radiologists several minutes each. Yet every flagged image still required review by a qualified physician before any treatment decision occurred. The AI didn't diagnose patients. It created a prioritized work list, ensuring doctors examined the most concerning cases first. This deployment reveals how AI actually functions in high-stakes environments. Caah.ai's developers trained the system using over 2.8 million chest x-rays from diverse populations, including extensive datasets from tuberculosis screening programs in India, with each image manually labeled by radiologists to indicate normal versus abnormal findings. Engineers selected which visual features the algorithm should analyze: opacity patterns, lung field density variations, specific geometric relationships between anatomical structures. The system learned to recognize correlations between these predetermined features and radiologist classifications, not to understand respiratory disease. When deployed in UK hospitals, it performed exactly as programmed. It compared incoming scans against learned patterns and assigned probability scores based on similarity. Human oversight remained essential at every stage. Radiologists reviewed AI-flagged cases and frequently overrode recommendations based on patient history, clinical presentation, or subtle contextual factors the algorithm couldn't access. If the system encountered scan qualities degraded by patient movement or unusual anatomical variations, it often failed. Situations human doctors navigated through experience and reasoning. NHS teams monitored performance metrics weekly, adjusting sensitivity thresholds when false positives created workflow problems or false negatives risked missing genuine cases. Applying this understanding to AI tools you encounter requires recognizing three operational realities. First, every AI system was built for a specific narrow purpose defined by developers. Caah.ai analyzes chest x-rays because engineers decided that goal, gathered relevant training data, and optimized algorithms accordingly. It cannot spontaneously begin analyzing other medical images or decide different patient factors deserve priority. Similarly, when you use AI writing assistants or photo organization tools, those systems execute precisely the functions their creators specified, nothing more. Second, AI outputs reflect training data quality and human design choices, not independent judgment. If AI models are trained predominantly on data from one demographic, such as younger patients, they often perform poorly on others, such as elderly populations with age-related lung changes, a phenomenon documented across various medical AI applications. The system can't recognize this limitation. Humans must test performance across demographics and retrain models when gaps emerge. When AI tools you use produce unexpected results. The explanation lies in training data characteristics or algorithmic design, not machine intention. Third, human decision-making authority determines outcomes. NHS physicians could ignore Query.ai's recommendations entirely if clinical judgment suggested different priorities. The AI provided information. Doctors retained responsibility. This principle applies universally. Recommendation algorithms suggest content, but you choose what to watch. GPS calculates routes, but you decide whether to follow them. Spam filters flag messages, but you determine what actually constitutes unwanted email. Understanding these realities transforms how you evaluate AI capabilities. Rather than asking whether AI can be trusted, ask who designed it, what data trained it, and whether humans maintain appropriate oversight. Human intent in AI. The real driver of technology. The human element in AI design. Every AI system you've ever encountered started with a person sitting down and saying, "Here's a problem I want to solve." Your phone's autocorrect? Engineers identified that people make typing errors and wanted to reduce them. Netflix recommendations? A team decided they could keep viewers engaged longer by predicting what you might enjoy next. Your bank's fraud alerts? Security specialists analyzed patterns in stolen card usage to protect your money. No AI operates without human purpose behind it. Think about the last time you received a recommendation that felt completely off. Maybe Spotify suggested a playlist you had zero interest in, or Amazon pushed a product that made you wonder if their algorithm even knew you. What did you do? You probably ignored it, maybe even rolled your eyes. That simple act of dismissal reveals something fundamental. You remain in control. The algorithm optimized for patterns it detected in your past behavior, but it couldn't override your judgment in that moment. Engineers defined what success meant to their system, but you retained final authority. When you encounter headlines claiming AI decides who gets loans or AI learns to manipulate users, try a simple mental exercise. Replace AI decides with a tool calculates based on instructions someone programmed. Replace AI learns with software identifies patterns and data that humans selected and provided. Suddenly, the real questions emerge. Who wrote those instructions? What values did they embed in the criteria? Whose interests does this system serve? The mystique surrounding AI often obscures the most important truth. Every capability, every limitation, every bias reflects choices made by the people who built it. Human creativity drives what AI can do. Human judgment determines how it gets used. Human values shape whether it helps or harms. That's not a reason for fear. It's a reason for engagement, oversight, and holding the right people accountable. Ethical choices in AI development. Every AI system you encounter, whether it's helping doctors diagnose diseases or suggesting your next favorite movie, begins with a question. What problem are we trying to solve, and how should we solve it? The answers to these questions don't come from algorithms or datasets. They come from people, guided by their values, their ethics, and their vision for what technology should accomplish. The field of AI development operates within carefully constructed ethical frameworks, formal guidelines that ensure technology serves humanity responsibly. Chirpian, 2024. These frameworks address questions that matter. How do we protect privacy? How do we ensure fairness? How do we prevent harm? Organizations developing AI, from universities to major tech companies, establish ethics boards. Northeastern University 2023, UNESCO 2024, Arizona State University ND, and conduct impact assessments before deploying new systems. Bipartisan Policy Center 2022, DPO Center 2025, EW Solutions 2026. These aren't afterthoughts. They're foundational requirements that shape every stage of development. Consider healthcare AI as an example. When engineers design systems to assist with medical diagnoses, they don't simply optimize for accuracy. They consider patient dignity, informed consent, and equitable access to care, CDC 2024, DeepScribe AI 2025, I4 Technolab 2026, Capella 2025. They ask whether the system might disadvantage certain populations or whether it respects doctor-patient relationships. These considerations reflect deeply human values: compassion, justice, respect, embedded directly into the technology's design. This human-centered approach means AI's trajectory isn't predetermined or inevitable. It's negotiated, debated, and deliberately chosen by researchers, policymakers, and communities working together. When concerns arise about AI applications, surveillance technologies, automated decision-making, data collection practices, those concerns spark conversations that lead to new safeguards, regulations, and design principles. Chicago Council of Lawyers, 2026, UK Cabinet Office, 2023, Volt AI 2025. The reassuring truth is this: AI develops according to human priorities, not its own agenda. The values we hold as societies, fairness, transparency, accountability, become the values that guide AI's evolution, ensuring technology remains aligned with our collective vision for a better future. Human oversight in AI applications. When we step back and examine how AI actually functions in the real world, one truth becomes unmistakable: human oversight remains the decisive factor in whether these systems serve us well. AI doesn't deploy itself, doesn't choose its own applications, and doesn't operate in isolation from human judgment. In breast cancer screening, AI systems assist radiologists by detecting anomalies in mammograms. These systems accelerate review and prioritize cases, but human radiologists always retain final diagnostic authority. They interpret AI findings within full clinical context, overriding suggestions based on their expertise and patient data. This ensures efficiency without diminishing human judgment in patient care. Financial institutions use AI to flag suspicious transactions, with compliance officers making final decisions. Hiring platforms screen resumes, yet hiring managers conduct interviews and make ultimate selections. Even autonomous vehicles operate under constant monitoring, with human engineers analyzing unexpected behavior and adjusting systems accordingly. The control we maintain over AI isn't accidental. It's built into regulatory frameworks, professional standards, and deployment protocols that recognize technology's inherent limitations. While AI processes information at scales humans cannot match, it fundamentally lacks contextual understanding, ethical reasoning, and the ability to weigh competing values. These uniquely human capacities aren't disappearing. They're becoming more essential as AI systems grow sophisticated. What determines whether AI benefits humanity isn't the technology itself, but the quality of human oversight we apply. That oversight depends on our willingness to understand these systems rather than avoid them, to engage with their development rather than retreat from complexity.